I've tried, and I just can't keep going. Trying to grow on social media can be really discouraging if you simply focus on how you are perceived and received, and not just on completing and putting out your content. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, hello. If you're returning, thank you for coming back. So today we're going to talk about how frustrating it can be when you have decided to start a social media channel, decided to start like a YouTube, a TikTok, and how when you have started it, you start to focus on the metrics, you start to focus on how well it is performing, as opposed to just focusing on just putting out your content. When you first start out, it can be really discouraging, especially on YouTube, because though YouTube is one of the social media platforms that you gain the most from, it's a bit hard to actually start growing on it. So when you first start out and you're not used to it, it can be a bit discouraging when you put stuff out and you don't see the results that you are hoping to see. And I'm speaking here from personal experience too. And I'm sure some of you can relate too, because maybe you too, you're trying to start a YouTube, you're trying to start a TikTok, you're trying to start an Instagram. So you can more than likely relate to putting out something and feeling like, oh my God, I put so much work into it. And then it doesn't do as well as you anticipated it for it to do. I remember when I first started out my YouTube channel, at first, I wasn't necessarily sure what I wanted to do. I was like, I want to do self-talk. I want to do a little bit of beauty, etc. Right? I told myself I was going to make my channel about self-talk, healing, self-help, and so forth like that. And I remember when I first put out my first few videos, I was getting like 12 views, 20 views, 50 views. And I remember thinking, oh my God, like this is so frustrating, especially in the beginning when I was like at five subscribers. I would be so frustrated because I'd be like, oh my God, I put so much work into this. Like I would sit there and write out my script. I would sit there and just like go through everything, analyze this thing, create a script and everything, and then I'll put it out. And I remember the first time I put out some videos, I was so discouraged, especially like I was in a month in, 2 months in, 3 months in, 4 months in, and I just got so frustrated because the work, I felt like the work I was putting in, I wasn't getting the results I wanted to see. So then I decided, I'm going to pivot a little bit. Let me see something that will make me feel better. I decided to start doing content and putting stuff out about like trending topics, things that were happening, and then just giving like my commentary on those topics. And what I realized was like, yes, I was getting the views on those topics, but after a while, for me, it became redundant and it wasn't what I necessarily wanted to do. So I found myself with the problem of me having given up or like pushed back what I really wanted to do and tried something else just for the simple fact I wanted to stroke my ego. I wanted to feel better about how my videos were performing. So even though it wasn't genuinely what I felt I was called to do, I felt I had to do that because my self-esteem about my page was just so low, because when I would look at how my videos were performing compared to what the work I had put into it, I would be so distraught. This entire process, this entire journey on social media, on YouTube, really just taught me how to learn to simply just complete my videos, put out my work without being too focused on the results. Because when I hyper focused on the results, it would really like steal the joy of me like creating what it is I was trying to create. So I had to learn that sometimes maybe you're not going to see the result you want to see immediately, or you might not even see the result you want to see, but putting out your content is like exercising a muscle. You continuously do it. The more you do it, the better it gets, the bigger the muscle becomes. And I feel like the farther reach you will get to the people you're trying to get. I really had to learn patience when it came to my platforms. I had to learn that if I want to build my platform and I want to read a bigger audience, the audience I want to reach is the audience that I see myself growing with. So what point would it be for me to go and create a platform off of stuff that I don't necessarily resonate with, or something that it doesn't it doesn't feel like it's my calling? What would it be the point of me creating a platform off of that? Because I would burn out a lot faster. So I just had to learn to myself that it was simply, I just had to remove my mind from focusing on what is the result going to be? What is the result going to be? How are people going to take it? How are people going to take it? And just focus on creating. Now, that was a little bit easier said than done for me, right? Because creating for me, when it comes to like a creative field, is a bit different and a little bit more difficult for me as opposed to if I was creating for like say work or school. Because for like work and school, there's a finite goal, there's an outcome I'm supposed to reach. Like you put in the work, you do an assignment, you get X grade. You know, if you hit the benchmarks, you hit whatever it is the targets are supposed to be, then you know, okay, if I do X, Y, and Z, I get an A. I do X, Y, and Z, I get a B. Do X, Y, and Z, and get an C. But when it comes to like creating content, when it comes to doing stuff on social media, doing stuff that is creative, trying to draw in an audience, trying to draw people that resonate with what you want to do, it's a little bit harder than that, because even if you might feel like you put out your best content, but that doesn't resonate with the people, or it doesn't resonate with people yet. But then something that you just comes to you and you put it out, that might be the thing that that pushes you forward in the field you want to be pushed forward. So I had to learn that when I'm creating, I have to be creating from a place of joy. I have to be creating from a place of I'm doing this because I like to create, because creating is fun for me, as opposed to I'm doing this so I can get XY results. And when you are such an analytical person, when you are a person that is formula based, everything you've done is X, Y, and Z, I'm not going to necessarily say you should let go of that part of your personality, but I would say you should implement strategies where you are not so focused on the outcome, but use your analytical skills, use your structured skills to in how you create, as opposed to creating towards an end. So use that organizational skills you have, because that's how I had to do it. I had to use the organizational skills I had and focus on the process as opposed to just focusing on the outcome. So some solutions I was able to come to during this entire almost existential crisis for me in my creation is that you just need to create. Don't overthink anything. Don't just put out the content, you know? Someone once told me that instead of focusing on perfection, I should focus on completion. Instead of focusing on, oh, this project needs to be perfect, I can't put it out until it's perfect. Just give yourself benchmarks of, I've completed one, I've completed two, I've completed five. Focus on completion as opposed to focusing on, oh, it has to be perfect, and you will have a much easier time and a much more enjoyable time when you're creating. Another solution that I came to is that if something is not working one way, maybe do it a different way. Trying to fit a cube into a square doesn't work. So why should you continue to do something one way when another way works best? The fun part about doing something in the creative field, the fun part about creating is that you get to experiment. You get to try out different modes. You get to try out different things and see which one works for you. For me, when I first started, I felt like, I don't know how this is going to be. Like sometimes I feel like maybe I need to be on camera all the time. Maybe I need to do X, Y, and Z. But what I came to the conclusion is that whatever fits me at the time is whatever I'm going to do. So maybe sometimes I will be on camera, sometimes I will be off the screen and just talking, doing voiceovers. Whatever works best for me is whatever I'm going to do. I thought at first I had to do like a lot of editing, be a little really very fancy with the editing, but that's not necessarily my style. I don't want to, for me personally, I do not want to take away from what I'm doing by only focusing on the editing. So I had to focus on the things that worked for me and stick to that. But at first, I had to try different things. I had to try different things to see what works for me. So you're not going to know exactly what works for you, what works for your creation until you try it out, because everybody is different and different things work for different people. And that segues me into my final solution, which is face your front. Don't worry about what others are doing and simply do your own things. Comparison is the thief of joy. I'm just going to tell you now, if you are trying to do social media, you're doing social media, the fastest way to cause yourself to give up is by you comparing your progress to other people's progress. Do not compare other people's results to your results. Do not compare how other people's videos are doing to yours. Don't compare how other people's editing looks. Don't compare other people's talking points. Don't even feel like, oh, this person did this topic and it did well, so then I have to do that topic and mine will do well. Do not do that. Just face your front, do what you're supposed to do, put out what you're supposed to put out, and the people who are supposed to find you will find you. Do not compare yourself to others. Do not discourage yourself by saying, oh my God, this person has been on this platform not even as long as me, and look, they're already at the thousands. They already have thousands of subscribers, thousands of views. Don't do that to yourself, because comparison is the thief of joy. If you have made it this far, please put a unicorn emoji in the comment section. Can you relate in your quest to being a content creator? What issues have you run into? I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I will see you next time. Toodles!